Hey, Lightworkers! Have you ever spent months creating something that you thought your audience would love, only to launch it and barely hear crickets? Yeah, me too. And let me tell you, that is not a vibe that I want. But this time, I'm doing it differently. I'm using a strategy that billion-dollar companies, startups, and super smart marketers use every single day. And it's called click testing. If you've never heard of it, click testing is a way to test a market before you start building a product for it. This way, you're not wasting your time, money, or energy creating something that nobody wants. And in today's video, I'm taking you behind the scenes to show you exactly how I did it for my newest product. I'll show you what the early data is telling me and why I wish I had started doing this years ago. Whether you're building your first offer or scaling your spiritual business, you're gonna wanna check this out. The truth is, too many lightworkers are struggling to make money not because their gifts aren't valuable, but it's because you're skipping the market validation step. In other words, is anyone gonna wanna buy your product? So let's fix that today. Does this sound familiar? You spend weeks or months building something that you're super excited about. You pour your heart and your soul into it, and probably a good chunk of change too. You launch it, and hardly anyone buys it, if anyone at all. Or worse, you don't even know why it didn't sell. This is one of the biggest traps that I see spiritual entrepreneurs fall for. We assume if we love it, naturally everyone else will too. Wrong! Because business doesn't work that way. It's a co-creation with your audience. You're not operating in a vacuum. What you're providing and sharing to the world literally involves other people. So it's a good idea to test what other people are thinking, feeling, or even want. Click testing lets you skip the guessing game and get to real data immediately. So today I'm gonna show you how I set up my click testing process to test a new product idea. I'm about to launch a Skool community that helps support healers become more effective in their healing practices. We've already recorded the videos, we've set up the community, it's been running in beta for a couple months now, which has been amazing. Now that we have the core offer ready to go, now it's time to market and sell it. But what I realized when starting to put together the landing page, that I wasn't sure which pain points was gonna resonate with my audience. I have a lot of ideas about what I think my audience is struggling with. For example, maybe they have trouble setting up client boundaries, or they feel burnt out after doing healing work all day only to come home feeling exhausted. Maybe they don't know how to set up their physical environment so it looks super zen and spa-like, but also is conducive to their practice. There are a lot of different ideas that I had running, but I wasn't sure what was gonna resonate with the audience itself. So then I decided to click test it. This is a data-driven approach to test your ideas with real people through paid advertising so that you can see what they're willing to click and buy. I'm personally using meta advertisement, so this is putting ads on Facebook and Instagram. So let me first show you how I set up the process, and then I'll show you the results. So as a quick overview, here is my Skool community, which is a classroom with a lot of different videos, exercises to support healers in their journey. The Skool community has a calendar, members, a leaderboard. It's super cool, right? So this has been in the works for a while, but now I'm ready to take this to the public and to sell it. But I want to know, what are people going to resonate with? So this is where the click testing comes in. So I first learned about click testing many years ago when I started at Coursera, which was a startup at the time in Silicon Valley. It was kind of funny because I was coming from academia and hearing things like A/B testing and click testing, only to be like, what are they talking about? Ironically, I have an extensive background in research, which is conducting experiments to see the results of a certain hypothesis that you have. So in academia, where we might talk about control groups and variable groups, in the business world, when we talk about A or B testing, that's pretty much running a research design. Just a little bit less formal, a lot faster, and quite frankly, a little bit more practical. So click testing is just a marketing term for conducting an experiment using data to drive insights about some kind of hypothesis that you have. Now, I've taken some click testing courses over the years from a marketing perspective, but it wasn't until that I discovered Steve Pieper's ammo workshop that everything clicked. Pun intended. Steve's workshop is called Author Marketing Mastery Through Optimization, or AMO for short. Steve's work is actually geared towards authors and writers who want to get a better understanding of how to sell their books on Amazon and on their web pages. What I loved about Steve's course, though, is he gave a great walkthrough on how to conduct click testing based off of your audience and what you are offering to your audience. He generally splits it up between fiction writers and nonfiction writers. What I found, though, that the nonfiction writers are extremely relevant to business people and marketers who are trying to transform someone's life through some sort of product that you're offering. So what I did is I followed Steve's process for the nonfiction writers, although I kind of tweaked things and made it my own along the way. I highly recommend Steve's course. You learn so much, whether you're an author or a business person that's selling physical products or any other digital product. Although it's geared towards writers specifically, there are a lot of takeaways that you can get and apply to your business. I'll drop a link below if you're interested in checking it out. When I took Steve's class, he gave some very specific advice about how to start your click testing process. For nonfiction writers, or in this case, if you're a spiritual entrepreneur, you are going to test the pain or the problem that your target audience is facing. Now, what comes later in future click testings is then testing the transformation that your product solves. But the first click test is all about understanding what's resonating with your audience. What are they struggling with? This is super important because a product at the end of the day is aimed to solve someone's problem or to reduce some kind of pain in their life. So in my case, I'm looking to see what pain points healers currently are facing in their world of healing practice. So let me show you exactly what I did. I went into Steve's Click Testing for Authors class. I went to the lecture that talks about creating your very first click testing. So you're creating variants for test 1. What I love about this is Steve's work comes with a transcript with every single video. So I made sure to download that. And then what I did next is I took this transcript from the class and then put it into ChatGPT. And this was a super simple prompt. It says, here's a transcript of a click testing course. I need you to create some taglines for my nonfiction quote problem in the context of the healers class. So at this point in my ChatGPT prompt, I had already fed a ton of information about my new product offering for the healers class. So it had all of that detail around what the product is, what it does, what it teaches, etc. But what I love about having a paid version of ChatGPT is that you can upload files and then ChatGPT will work with those files in some way. So after I uploaded the transcript into ChatGPT, I asked the AI to give me some variants about problems that my target audience might face. Now, ultimately what this is going to look like, and Steve shows this in the class, but for your first click test, you're going to create a very simple color block with a main problem that your client or audience is facing, and then you're going to test and see what they end up clicking. In this case, I specifically wanted to test 12 different variants of the problems that I saw. My first angle was about energy drain and burnout. So I actually have 3 versions of energy drain and burnout, because I want to see what is my audience really resonating, if at all, with this type of problem in their life. My second angle was around lack of boundaries or setting boundaries with your clients in a healthy and professional way. And similar to the first angle, I have 3 variants for that angle as well. And in each variant, I start to look at what words might be interesting to resonate with, because I want to see what ultimately the audience is going to click on based on what they read. My third angle is about confidence. I'm not quite sure if my healers feel confident in the work that they're doing. Maybe they're unsure, or maybe they're super confident, and that's not a problem at all. But that's the whole thing. I don't want to assume. So that's why this made it into the click testing as well. And my last angle is about the physical space itself. I'm not sure if my client base is struggling with setting up their healing spaces, like the physical office space in which they're conducting their work. But in the class, we teach really practical ways to optimize the energy, the flow, and the dynamic between you and your client in the space itself. So it's a really important part of the class, but I wasn't quite sure how to frame this in like a marketing perspective. So that's why there's 3 variants for your physical space as well. So I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. I wanted to show you a visual of what this is going to look like ultimately, because these are the ads. They're super simple. But to get to that point, I asked ChatGPT to create the variants based off of the transcript from the click testing class and the context of my product to create the variants for me. I was super pleased with the results. So as you can see here, I got all 4 of the angles that are highly relevant to my landing page, copy, and any other promotional material that I'm creating right now. Now I'm going to show you how I set this up in Meta Business Suite to run the paid ads. If you're a business person, I highly recommend that you get a Meta business account. Basically what this means is you'll get access to the Meta Business Suite, and it will provide you with the ability to advertise on both Facebook, Instagram, and other tools as well. But these are the primary 2 that I'm going to be focusing on. Setting up a Meta business account is free, but also know that you do have to pay for the advertising. So make sure you keep that in mind when you're running or thinking about running your click tests. So to create an ad, we go into Ads Manager and go to Campaigns. So I have a couple of ideas that I'm testing right now, including a fiction book that I want to write. And just like before, I want to make sure that I'm writing to market or writing a book that people will want to read. So you can test a lot of different ideas depending on what you want to focus on. But what we're going to focus on is the click testing for the Healers class. So when you create a campaign, you can create a lot of tests within the same campaign. We're going to keep this super simple though, and I'm going to show you the first test that I ran. So the first test, according to Steve's class, is testing the motivation or the pain that the person is facing. Each of these blocks is a different ad. I linked the paid ads to my business Facebook and Instagram account so that people can see a person behind the advertisement. I won't go into the specific details about how to set up the ad itself, but I will share that Steve did a great job walking you through it step by step, super easy to follow along, and he pretty much cuts away all of the fluff and confusion so that you can just focus on getting your ad up and running very quickly. I was able to create these 12 ads, I think in less than an hour. So it really doesn't have to take a lot of time. So as you can see here, I added the color block that I created in Canva based off of the context that I got from ChatGPT, put it in the ad, and this is a preview of what it will look like both on Facebook and Instagram. Now I want to show you the results. Super exciting. So we are testing for 2 things here. Our baseline benchmark that we're aiming for is click-through rate, or CTR, that is above 2.5%. I actually don't know why it's 2.5%. That's just what Steve shared. I trust him. He spent millions of dollars on paid ads. Good enough for me. So 2.5% or higher CTR is considered a success. Another important metric that we're going to be looking at is CPC, or cost per click, that is less than 40 cents a click. This is another benchmark that Steve shared. Basically, it's a good starting point to ultimately understand what is considered a success so that your advertisements don't cost more than the product itself. So put it simply, CPC should be less than 40 cents a pop. So let's look at the results. So I'm going to sort from highest to lowest on my click-through rate, and I can see that everything that I have is actually above 2.5%, which is amazing. This means that literally every single angle that I'm testing here is a winner, and people are resonating with it. But there are clear winners that are much more successful than the others. So what really surprised me is that the physical space angle was way more successful than some of the others, including confidence and energy drain. I actually thought energy drain was going to be the biggest winner because that's generally my assumption. Healers feel burnt out after doing work and they come home exhausted. And although that's resonating, it's not the biggest thing that resonated with these ads. The most successful winner that we see here is this one. I've seen other healers' spaces feel sacred. Mine just feels like a spare room. And this one, I know my healing space matters, but I don't know how to set it up right. Super interesting, right? Also, the CPC is less than 40 cents. In fact, super low, 12 cents, 15 cents is a really good click-through rate. So these results are really, really good. The CPC for these top 2 ads are 12 and 15 cents, which is a lot less than our 40 cents per click. Third winner that we have is the lack of boundaries at 4.4%. Our first winner, though, is almost double that. So to me, this is a clear signal that physical space is really important. Now, I do want to quickly mention how much I spent and how long it took me to run these ads. Like I mentioned before, it only took about an hour, maybe an hour and a half to put everything together end to end, including uploading the prompt into ChatGPT, getting the angles, putting them into Canva, going into Meta, following Steve's class, and making the ads one by one. If you think about it, that's not a lot of time, but so much time saved if you think about it at the end of the day. I now have a much clearer perspective of what's resonating with my audience and what isn't. Now, Steve recommended in his class that you spend $30 per ad a day as a maximum, and then you turn the ad off once you get to 400 impressions. Again, not sure exactly why these are the metrics he used, but he's done this for many years and helped authors create millions of dollars in profit based off paid advertising. So why reinvent the wheel? That's good enough for me. So overall, I spent $67.63 running these paid advertisements. That's really not that much money if you think about it. I mean, I could be spending months of my time drafting the copy of my landing page based off of these different problems and transformations without a clue of how ultimately they're going to perform. But for less than $100 and a couple hours of my time, I now have a much better perspective of what's resonating with my audience. That's pretty awesome. I'm gonna take it. Now, there are other click tests that Steve recommends in his class that you can follow along with, and I'll probably take on some of those to continue to test and validate some of the ideas and assumptions that I have. And while that's running, I'm also going to be working on my landing page and making sure that I have language talking about physical space, because turns out that's actually a really big important factor for my audience. I was planning to downplay that because I didn't think it was that important. But this shows the real power and the value of click testing. Because let's face it, not everyone thinks like you. Your audience is going to have different perspectives than what you have as the offer or business creator. So let's take advantage of these amazing tools and how easy it is to advertise these days. If you think about it, before social media or even the internet, it took so much work to do paid advertising. You had to hire a firm or an agency to run a megalith ad campaign that would probably cost you tens or hundreds or millions of dollars to do. But now you can run ads and put them to people all around the world with a few clicks of the button and get really fast and immediate results. I can't emphasize enough just how powerful and transformative this really is. You can also, of course, click test other ideas around your products too, whether you're thinking about, let's say, writing a book, wanting to make sure that people want to read it, or if you're testing ideas that you want to put on your marketing or landing pages. Why not? Overall, the other insights that I've gained from this experience is that my product is on the right track. Literally all of my ads are technically considered successful according to what Steve's criteria was. That was really surprising to me because I actually thought my market was super niche and maybe there weren't enough people to actually sell this product to. So it's really reassuring to see that everything is resonating. Some more than others, but overall, everything's resonating, which is a great sign. So based on these results, I'm gonna keep the momentum going, do some more click tests to really refine the ideas, the transformations about what my product can offer my audience. And I'm also gonna make sure that I incorporate that language into my promotional material. So I'm gonna keep sharing the results as I continue to build and refine this product. If you love seeing the real behind the scenes workflows of how I'm putting together my spiritual business, and if you want to see more experiments, lessons, and insights from the work that I'm doing, make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any updates on what I'm doing next. And drop a comment below if you're inspired to start click testing, or maybe you already have and have gleaned a lot of insights from that. And drop a comment below if you've ever tested an idea before launching, or if this video inspired you to do so. Remember, your spiritual gifts are powerful and the world needs them, but pairing them with strategy, especially data-driven strategies, that's how we change the world and get paid. I'll see you next time. Bye!